Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Patreon podcast. This week I wanted to talk about the idea of knowing your limits and why that's not necessarily such a bad thing. This comes from direct experience over this past weekend for me. I'm recording this on a Monday. And I have been working with a client who wants a very specific type of song, and I feel that it's not really within my wheelhouse to be able to complete that type of song. And that's okay. Like, I write music, yes, but that doesn't mean I write every single style of music and every type of music. Or that I do that to the quality in which I'm comfortable sharing that with clients. So, I'm going to give it one more try today when I get home from my day job. But then I'm going to just let them know that I can't. And I think that there's something very good about knowing like your limits and how far you're willing to take something before throwing in the towel and letting the client know or letting the project kind of languish until either your skills get better or maybe never. I don't know. I mean, obviously, I'm going to help this client find another musician. I have a couple people in mind that might be able to do it. And I think that that's kind of the professionalism aspect of it. It's entirely possible for me to just be like, nope, and walk away forever. But that's not really what I want to do. I want to make sure that I foster some kind of a rapport with this person. And just kind of bailing on them without any kind of backup is not very professional at all. Excuse me. And I think that really that's the crux of it right there. It's being able to know your limits. And the other thing that I wanted to mention is even though you know your limits, that doesn't mean that you can try to expand them. I think that it's important to, always work toward getting better at your craft. But in this case, I feel that since this is a paid gig, I don't want to use this opportunity as a way to learn, if that makes sense. Like the 2-hour track challenge is the right place to expand your limits. It's the right place to maybe try a different type of music, a different genre, or like be very experimental. But when you're working with clients, unless they specifically want you to be experimental, and even then it's iffy. But when I'm working with a client, I want to make sure that I have my knowledge down. Like I have everything that I need and I just go and execute on it. I'm not sitting around trying to learn how to do something and then trying to execute on it, because for one, that takes a lot longer. And additionally, it's a crapshoot. It's very random whether or not what happens is actually good at that point. And I think that that's really disingenuous to a client to use their time as an excuse to learn something new. Obviously, if the deadline is very far away and you want to do some experimental stuff and kind of learn before working on their project, that's fine. But I don't think that using their project as an excuse to learn something is very good. It's not very professional in my opinion. And to be fair, I've done that in the past a long time ago where people wanted something and I didn't know how to do it. Excuse me. And I had to learn and I had to sit down and I had to learn, and I used their project as that testing ground. And overall those projects turned out okay, but they weren't, I wasn't as happy with it. It's just kind of learning how and when to do that kind of stuff. And I lost my train of thought. I think that it's important to know your limits, and I think that it's really important to always be expanding your limits, to step outside your comfort zone. Yes, that's what I was going to talk about. Your comfort zone. Trusting your gut is really important in this kind of stuff too, because your gut gives you that little ball of fear when you're starting to approach your limits or when you're overcommitting to something. And that's kind of what I'm feeling right now, where I feel that the project that I'm working on, I could do it, but I just have that little ball of anxiety in me telling me that I probably shouldn't. And I'm still going to give it an honest try one more time tonight just to see if it works. But if it doesn't, then I'm just going to talk to him about it. And, being professional about this kind of stuff is the most important thing, where whether it's a limitation of my skills or a limitation of my hardware, like maybe I just don't have the right audio patches for what he's looking for. And, I don't want to spend $1,200 on a $200, project payday. There's a lot of reasons. And maybe I'm just trying to talk myself into, I'm just convincing myself that this is okay. But I've definitely dealt with this before with other clients, where it's I started to get this little ball of anxiety in me, and I feel like that's the time that I need to focus on other projects where I can help them find somebody to do what they need, and I can just focus on other things. And I think that's knowing my limits and knowing what I'm willing to go through at this point for making things is really valuable. So that's kind of where I'm at with that right now. But that's not really what I wanted to talk about today, but that's kind of what popped up when I was driving into work this morning. And I think that it's important to talk about. So yeah, that's all I've got. It's a tough subject. Like I said, I've dealt with this before in the past, and it's hard to kind of come up against that and realize that, well, maybe this isn't really what I should be committing myself to right now. And I think that there's a good strength in that and a good professionalism, being able to realize that this isn't what I need to do right now. This isn't what I should be focusing myself on. So that's all I have for today. Thank you so much for listening, and thank you so much for being a Patreon supporter. It means the world to me. Be remarkable.